Hello, 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 and what is going on today, everybody? Hello, everybody. This is Mr. B with Mr. B's podcast, also Mid Hudson Security Consultants, and Mr. B Security Training Center. And today, I just wanted to jump on quick to talk about a topic that is really hot right now in the security and insurance industry. That topic being arrests, security guards making an arrest, right? So you can ask any insurance company or any security company as it relates to having security guards make an arrest. And today I'm just going to tell you from my experience as an instructor and a security professional in the industry for a while now, just my take on the whole situation with the security guards making an arrest. So you have to bear with me. I'm not doing any script. I'm just going off the cuff today. So yeah, we'll do it live.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live.
Well, kind of live, but we'll roll with it, and we'll see how the first video podcast works out for us with all of our technology and everything. And, let's get into it. So, arrests. Can security guards in the state of New York make an arrest? So, there is no really clean-cut answer to that. But I can tell you what the state wants us to tell students. I can tell you as a security company owner, my information or my take on it, and I can tell you from an insurance standpoint, a court standpoint, my opinion as it relates to security guards making an arrest in the state of New York. And mind you, this video podcast today will be solely based on New York State, no other state, right? So in the state of New York, a security guard is what? So in New York, a security guard is a private, everyday civilian. A security guard is not a police officer. A security guard is not a peace officer, which are two different levels of certification and authority and powers vested in them by the New York State penal law and constitution as well. So security guards are your private, everyday civilian. They're not police officers. So, with that in mind, can private civilians make arrests in the state of New York? The answer is yes. So it's called a citizen's arrest in the state of New York. So if we focus only on security guards right now, knowing that security guards are private citizens, civilians, yes, security guards can make an arrest. But there's certain criteria that needs to be met as it relates to effecting an arrest. So when you arrest somebody, what are you doing? You're actually depriving them of their free will to get up and leave or go about their business. So you're actually involved with, excuse me, I thought I heard something over there. I guess it's nothing. But at any rate, right, so you're depriving somebody of their civil rights, and that leaves you on the hook for potentially getting what? Getting arrested or sued for false arrest. So the state will tell us to tell people who come to us for security guard training that, yes, you can make an arrest, but certain criteria needs to be met, right? So I'm going to tell you now. A security guard can make an arrest in the state of New York if they witness the crime occur in their presence with their own two eyes, and they know in fact that the person that they are arresting or have arrested is in fact the person that they saw commit the crime. Right? So if we think about police officers in the state of New York, do police officers have to witness a crime occur in their presence with their own two eyes? The answer is no. police officers in the state of New York only need reasonable cause, reasonable belief, reasonable suspicion, or what a lot of people like to call it right now is RAS, which is reasonable articulable suspicion, meaning that as a police officer, they need to have reasonable belief that that you committed the crime, or you likely committed the crime, or there's a likeliness of you were involved in committing a crime. So let's back up a second so we understand what I had just said. Security guards are private citizens. They're not police officers. They don't have the same power as police officers and peace officers. A security guard can make an arrest if they see the crime occur in their presence with their own two eyes, and they know, in fact, that the person that they arrested or are arresting is, in fact, the person that committed the crime. So let's break that down. Police officers, security guards. Security guards, we need to see the crime occur with our own two eyes. Police officers, police officers only need reasonable suspicion that you likely committed the crime or you were involved with the crime. So, to answer the question, yes, security guards can make an arrest in the state of New York. Now I'm going to tell you why you should not make an arrest as a security guard in the state of New York. Again, why you should not, right? So, let's just use an example, right? You're working at the mall, any type of mall. You're a mall cop, got your square badge and everything on. So at any rate, you're working at the mall and you see somebody stealing from some store in the mall, and you go over there and you arrest them. Say, hey, I saw you take that, right? You're under arrest. Security. And the person turns around to you and says, who the hell do you think you are? You're just a square badge security guard. Don't think you're going to put your hands on me, right? And so now you go up to the person and you're like, hey, look, I'm security officer so-and-so with so-and-so mall security. You're under arrest. And you go over there, you put your hands on them. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that somebody is just going to let you put handcuffs on them and deprive them of their freedom of movement, free will to come and go as they please? No. You think when police officers make an arrest that people just say, oh, got to put the handcuffs on me, you know? No, that's not the way it works. People fight, right? So in the 8-hour pre-assignment and the 16-hour on-the-job or on-job training that we teach as a DCJS-approved school, nowhere in any of the slides, any of the materials, are we teaching control techniques, restraint techniques, self-defense, how to put handcuffs on an individual, right? So if we keep that in mind, we're not training you none of that. But now you just went over to this person. You're trying to place them under arrest for stealing something because you did witness them steal something, allegedly. And now they start fighting with you. Okay. Now let's look at the second part of the law, right? A security guard can make an arrest as a private citizen in the state of New York. With everything I said already, they have to witness the crime with their own two eyes, and they have to know that the person that they arrested is, in fact, the person that committed the crime, right? So that security guard goes over to the person, places them under arrest. The person starts resisting. Can a security guard use physical force to detain and arrest that individual? The answer is yes. A security guard can use a reasonable amount of matched force. What do I mean when I say matched force, right? So if the person starts fighting and they're resisting your arrests and they're just using their hands, right? And you decide, say, you know what? We're in a sports store and you grab a baseball bat off the rack of the sports store and you decide to clock them on the head with the baseball bat, and you knock them out, you bloody them up because they were resisting your arrest. Would that be justified in the eyes of the law? No, it wouldn't, because what did I just say? It needs to be a matched level of force, right? So somebody's fighting you, and if you really want to place them under arrest, you use the match level of force to effect arrest upon them, meaning hands, right? You can't jump to, oh, the shopper just punched me and I got a knife on me as a security guard, which you're probably not supposed to have anyway as a security guard. But we'll get into that momentarily. But at any rate, and you decide that you want to stab the person because they hit you. Let me tell you something. You're going to call 911, right? And you're going to tell them you were making an arrest, right? And the person started fighting and you stabbed them. Guess who's going to jail? It is likely, actually, no, it's not even likely. You're going to jail, buddy. I said it needs to be a matched level of force, right? Hands do not equate to a knife, right? You just introduced a deadly weapon into a confrontation that did not call for the use of deadly physical force, right? So I said it needs to be a matched level of force if you decide to make the arrest. So let's have another example, right? So, okay, so you saw the person stealing, you went over, you told them that they're under arrest, and, right, they said, all right, I did it, and you go ahead and you put the handcuffs on them, right, and you call the police, and da-da-da-da-da. 2 years go by. Boom, 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 boom. Knock, knock, knock. It's the sheriff, the civil unit. We're here to serve you a subpoena in regard to an arrest that you made 2 years ago. Okay. You open the paperwork. It's the name of the person that you arrested, right? Now, that person is claiming that you maybe cut off their circulation in their hands and now they can't feel their fingers anymore because you put the handcuff on them, or a way that you handled them, you caused some type of permanent disfigurement or temporary illness, mental anguish, anything like that, right? So now you get up there in court, you have your court date, blah, 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 blah. You show up and you get up there on the stand. And in court, right, you have two sides. You have their side, which they're pressing the charges on you, and then you have your side, right? And I don't want to get into legalese because the average security guard doesn't really know legalese, but I can break it down for you. But at any rate, right, so let's just say there's their side, there's your side, there's a judge, and maybe a jury, right? So in court, there's a thing called cross-examination, which is their side asking you questions under oath on the stand, and then there's direct examination, which is your lawyer questioning you on the stand, right? So you go to court, right? And their side goes, I'll use my name for the examples. Hello, Mr. Smith. How are you? Hey, I'm doing all right. Mr. Smith, are you a licensed security guard in the state of New York? And I would say, yes, I am a licensed security guard in the state of New York. And their lawyer on cross examination while you're on the stand, their goal is to, just so you know, their goal is to make you look stupid, tear apart your reports, tear apart your appearance, just make you look not credible so they can accomplish their goal of getting some money out of you personally, out of the security company, and out of the mall, let's call it. So their job is to get money. They're going to make you look stupid. I'm sorry, excuse me. So they got you up there. You said you're a security guard. Then their lawyer might do something to the tune of, okay, so you're a security guard in the state of New York. You said yes. And you were working for XYZ mall security at that time? And I would go, no, I'm sorry. I was working for ABC Security. We're contracted to provide security for XYZ mall. And the lawyer would go, okay, that's good to know. So you're a security guard. You're working at such and such mall. Their lawyer will go, hey, well, do you recall on April 1st of 2022, there was an incident involving my client, Jane Doe. Do you remember Jane Doe? And I would say, yes, I remember Jane Doe. Their lawyer will go, okay. So you remember Jane Doe. And something occurred in the mall that you were involved in. Do you care to share what it was, what you were involved in? And you would start try to talk about it. Then your lawyer would stop you and try to throw some objection. We're not going to get into the legalese. But then their lawyer will rephrase and said, okay, so you witnessed my client, Jane Doe, allegedly commit a crime and you placed her under arrest. Is this correct? And you would say, yes, I did. I saw Jane Doe with my own two eyes commit the crime of larceny or grand larceny, let's call it. And I placed Jane Doe under arrest. I called the police. I turned her over to the police. Their lawyer will go, okay, so thank you for that. So now, can you tell us, you're a licensed security guard, you use physical force, you put your hands on my client, and you put handcuffs on her. Is there anywhere in any security training that you have taken in the state of New York, whether it be the 8-hour or the 16-hour, did you learn how to put handcuffs on? And you would look at your lawyer and say, because you screwed up right then and there. Because I told you, we're not training people how to put handcuffs on. Okay, so I would say in court, I would say, no, I was never trained how to put handcuffs on. And their lawyer would start licking at the chops because he's got you already. Their lawyer would say, okay, Mr. Smith, so you were never trained how to put handcuffs on, let alone put handcuffs on properly. Yet, you put handcuffs on my client. And you would sit there like, oh, shoot, he's got me. But that's not it. He's going to dig further into you, right? So their lawyer is going to say, okay, so you used handcuffs. You weren't trained. You weren't properly trained. You physically used force against my client. You prevented her from leaving on her own free will. You arrested her. And while you arrested her, can you tell the court how you arrested her? And your lawyer will go, oh, da, 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 you lead in the witness, blah, 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 but whatever. But in the grand scheme of things, to arrest somebody, you have to put your hands on them. So their lawyer will go, well, you put your hands on my client. You weren't properly trained how to put handcuffs on. There's nowhere in the security training course that tells you restraint techniques, control techniques. Yet you use them, resulting in injury to my client. And you would sit there like an idiot. You wouldn't have anything to say other than, here's my money, here's my money, here's the money to the judgment, right? So you need to understand, yes, you can make an arrest in the state of New York as a security guard, but you shouldn't, right? And I'm saying that as a security company owner who's been around the block with many large national and international security companies. Arrests, use of force are nightmares for security companies and insurance companies, right? You shouldn't be getting yourself involved in something that will likely end up in civil or criminal court, right? I tell students all the time, ring, 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 hello, police. The police are always your friend. I'm not saying don't do anything, right? Because that's not good as a security guard to let people walk all over you. But don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to get jammed up, get sued, get arrested, lose your job, right? So I tell people, don't make arrests, right? And there are certain situations where arrests are called for. Like, there's no one example, but if I use an example like, okay, there was an active shooter in the mall, and the active shooter dropped their gun, and you as a security guard, you ran over there, you jumped on him, you held him down till the cops got there. You arrested him. You used force to arrest him. That's a different story. What's the likeliness of you getting sued or some type of criminal charge for making an arrest on an active shooter who was actively engaged in shooting a large amount of people at your mall? I mean, it's really non-existent, but in this state, anyone can sue you for anything, really. So you got to be careful when it comes to making arrests. So even though the state law says you can make an arrest, you really shouldn't make an arrest. And some other things we're going to get into. So your employer in your employee handbook may say do not make arrests, may say do not engage in physical confrontation, right? And if you step outside of that, it's not good. You're on the hook, right? Because you just so the employee manual, employee handbook, whatever you want to call it, basically dictates what you can and cannot do for that employer and how you should engage in your courses of conduct and interactions with everyday people that you see. Stepping outside of it opens you up to liability, right? So those manuals are written to protect the security guard, the security company, the insurance company, and the client. Those things are most 9 times out of 10 written by lawyers, or looked at by lawyers to confirm that it minimizes their exposure, right? Or it mitigates some type of risk of them getting sued. So it's important when you start a security job to read the employee handbook. A lot of people don't. They just see it as a waste of time, a piece of paper. But I can tell you there's a lot of helpful information in your employee handbooks, employee manuals that you need to understand, right? So also in the employee handbook or employee manual, it may say, as an unarmed guard, you cannot carry knives, you cannot carry weapons, you cannot carry pepper spray, and definitely not a taser, right? So in the state of New York, you have armed guard and unarmed guard. Armed guard requires a lot more training and has a little more authority, but still it's not a police officer. But as an unarmed security guard, you can't carry a gun while you're working. That's a no-no, right? So a lot of companies will say you can't even carry pepper spray. Now, can security guards carry pepper spray in the state of New York? Again, a security guard is a private citizen, right? Now, in the state of New York, yes, you can possess certain pepper spray. Let's keep it simple like that, right? Certain pepper spray you can possess, but if you use it in a manner that's inconsistent with the law or the situation you're involved with, you're on the hook again. So as a security company and an insurance company, again, they want to minimize risk, right? They're not going around training people how to pepper spray, how to handcuff, how to restraint techniques, baton, impact tools, da. They're not telling you all that because it increases their risk, right? So if I tell my insurance company, hey, look, I want my security guards to carry pepper sprays and batons and tasers. You know what the insurance company is going to say? They're going to do like this. Oh yeah, that's what we like to hear. They're going to be looking at the bits because that's exposure, that's liability. They're going to want a ton of money just for security guards to be able to carry those things, right? So security companies will tell their employees not to carry those things because we don't want people exposing themselves to risk, exposing a company, the insurance company, or the client. That's really what this whole game is about risk when it comes to insurance and running a business. But a main part of it, obviously, is customer service and treating our employees and clients respectfully and fairly. So, again, it's important to read the manual, understand the manual, to understand what you can and cannot do as a security guard. Now, let's back up. We just use those examples. We use court, blah, 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 blah. All right, so security guards are private citizens. They can make an arrest if they see the crime occur in their presence see the crime in their presence and they know, in fact, that the person that they're arresting is, in fact, the person that committed the crime. Security guards don't need reasonable articulable suspicion, which is RAS, reasonable cause, reasonable belief. Security guards don't need that, right? Because police officers are the ones who need that. Police officers are the ones who only need to believe that a crime had occurred or you were likely involved in the crime. Security guards, as private citizens, our job is to make the accusation, to make the criminal complaint. It's not our job to investigate. We're not investigating a damn thing. We do mini investigations on scene before determining that a a crime had occurred or likely occurred. But a police officer's job is to arrive to the scene, secure the scene, make contact with the RP, which is the reporting party or the caller. If there's a suspect, make contact with the suspect. If there's any other witnesses, da 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 da. That's their job, to get there to find out what the hell happened, why the hell you disturbed them from their roadside pizza break, right? So police officers get there, what the hell's going on? And you tell them, right? So now the police officer has a suspect. They have your statement. They're going to tell you fill out a supporting deposition, which is basically just a criminal complaint making an allegation that Jane Doe did something that broke the law. The police officers, hey, look, this looks good. This will fly in court, right? They take her in, process her, blah, blah, blah. Give her maybe, they release her once they process her and just give her a court date. Then it's their job to take that case, get it over to the DA's office to tell the district attorney, hey, look, this security guard called us from the mall. They did a good job. They witnessed the crime occur. They placed the individual under arrest. We processed her, released her. Take it from here, right? So then the district attorney looks at it and says, oh, yes. Oh, man, I'm getting me another case under my belt, because when it comes to re-election time, I'm going to have 500,000 cases that I brung before the court, right? So then the DA does what he does to get it in front of the judge, jury, whatever you want to call it. Take a step back. The police only needed reasonable articulable suspicion, RAS, to make that arrest based on what you had told them, your allegation, your criminal complaint or supporting deposition. That's their job. As security guards, it's only our job to make the allegation or make the complaint that somebody committed this crime. So, let's recap. Security guards can make an arrest, but they shouldn't make an arrest. Why shouldn't they make an arrest? Because you're likely probably going to get sued. People are going to fight you because they're not just going to let you put handcuffs on them. And you're not properly trained to do these things. You're exposing yourself to risk. But again, they want us to tell you you can make an arrest under certain situations. So my personal preference is telling people not to make arrests. We have people who work in the industry, our company as well, who are retired police officers, but they have to understand you're no longer a cop, right? You're retired. You're 10 years, 15 years out, buddy. You're not on the beat anymore, So you have to separate. You have to let's think about the military, right? You're over Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever, 15 years, 20 years, whatever. You come back to United States. Do you think you're going to have an easy time? We call it reintegrating. You think you're going to have an easy time reintegrating back into society? No, it's not going to be easy. It's going to take some time. It's the same thing with cops, right? They're used to dealing with all this craziness in the street. Now they go ahead and they retire. And again, I'm not knocking cops. I'm just telling you how it is from what I've seen, witnessed, and was involved in. So now cops, when they first become security, they tend not to be able to separate the two, right? You're no longer a cop. Now you're a square badge. You turned in your oval badge for a square badge, right? So it's important to understand your roles, responsibilities as security guards in the state of New York. Don't make an arrest, right? Don't get yourself in trouble. Don't get yourself jammed up over some material item, It's a sticky situation to be involved in. So, all right. So That's going to conclude our first video podcast. I think we're just over 30 minutes, maybe. I'm not too sure. But we're going to be doing a couple of these, different type of topic, a lot of stories, my personal stories, a lot of stories from other individuals. I would love to have people on to discuss, their stories or anything that they want to talk about, whether it be remotely or maybe in studio. I would love that to happen. But I think, a lot of people tell me that I have a good voice. I'm a good, not that I'm dating myself, but they tell me that I have a nice voice and a nice way that I present and talk. I talk in front of large crowds. I talked in front of small crowds. And, it's something that I'm obviously comfortable with. And I think in this day and age, the internet has made it easier to get messages out and engage with the community. So I think that this will be something good to bring awareness to some issues, to help some individuals who may have some outstanding questions that maybe have never been answered before. Or if you just want to come on and BS and, watch, have a good time and just engage, I'm all for it. So yeah, I'm not sure when the next one will go up, but yeah, I want to thank you for tuning in today, and yeah, just be safe out there, be smart, don't get sued, don't get arrested, right? Security guards, you're not a cop. So until next time, I will see you later.